All right, guys, 12.3 notes. This is page 11 in this packet, page 11. Today's learning target is I can find the surface area and volume of spheres. So two different things for spheres. All right, at this point, you should probably know what surface area means. If I were to tell you what the surface area of a sphere is, like for example a basketball, it would be the amount of material it would take to put around the basketball. Okay, that's the surface area. Volume, on the other hand, would be like the amount of air inside the basketball. Okay, so hopefully you kind of know both of those things. Hopefully you know what a sphere is. It's like a three-dimensional circle, kind of. Let's do surface area first. We basically just have two very simple equations. One page, it'll be done shortly. Surface area, the formula is surface area equals 4 pi r squared. So the only thing you have to figure out is what the radius is, and then you just plug it in. So remember, the radius is the distance between the center of a circle and the side. The center of a circle and the side. So in this formula, we would have surface area equals 4 pi r squared. So in this first problem, if my radius is 2.5, I simply plug that in. So 2.5 squared. Let's see what that gives us. So we would have 4 pi and then 2.5 squared. Let's actually just do the 4 times the 2.5 squared first. So the pi has not been used yet, so it would simply be 25 pi. That's how you would put it in terms of pi. Okay. And then if I want it in decimal form, I would do 25 times pi on the calculator. See what I get. 78.5. Let's say units squared. Okay, so that is how we would write it in terms of pi and with a decimal. It's pretty simple, guys. All you need to know is what the radius is. Okay, so in this second one, it's telling us that the diameter is 10. Now, that's not the radius. So let's remind ourselves of what the diameter would mean. The diameter would be a line like this. So like, for example, this whole line would be 10. Okay, that is not the radius. The radius is always half of the diameter. So if the diameter in this picture is 10, the radius is going to be half of 10. So let's see what that is. 10 divided by 2 would be 5. So the radius would be 5, something like that. In this picture, the radius is 5. Okay, now that we know that the radius is 5, we can plug it in to our formula. Surface area equals 4 pi r squared equals 4 pi times 5 squared. Let's see what that would be in terms of pi first. So 4 times 5 squared without the pi would be 100 pi. What's 100 pi in decimal? Or 314.1 units squared. Nope, let's call that 314.2 actually. 314.2. Okay, that's surface area. Not too shabby. Okay, that's how you do it. Not too bad. So the only thing is they're trying to trick you here is they give you the diameter and you have to divide that by 2 to find the radius. Okay, all you're doing is plugging in this number into the radius. This number into the radius. Okay. All right, let's keep going. What if it says to actually find the radius if they give you the surface area? We've done similar things to like this in other units. If the formula is 4 pi r squared, they give you the surface area. Let me use a different color. They've given me the surface area. It's 50. Okay, so we are going to plug it into that. What we're trying to find now is the radius. So it's a little bit different than what we just did. If the surface area is 50, I can replace surface area with 50 equals 4 pi r squared. We're just going to leave it r squared because I don't know what r is. Now we are left with an equation that we have to solve for r. Okay, so let's take this one step at a time. We can divide both sides by 4. See what we get. 50 divided by 4. If you put a period at the end, it will for sure become a decimal. So let's say it's 12.5 equals pi r squared. That doesn't seem too bad so far. Not too shabby. Okay, is r by itself yet? Still not by itself. We kind of need to divide both sides by pi, right? Let's see what happens there. Let's just leave it like that for a second. So we could have 12.5 divided by pi equals r squared. Okay. Let's just do it like this. We could divide, or we could do the square root of both sides because r is not by itself yet. It still has that squared. Once we do the squared of that, we would get the square root of 12.5 divided by pi. Let's see what we get. 12.5 divided by pi is going to give us that, 1.99471. So let me just review that real quick. First step I did was I divided both sides by 4. I got 12.5. Then I divided both sides by pi and just left it there for a second. Found the square root of all that to find r by itself. So let's call that 2.0. So I think r is going to be 2.0 units. So in this one, I didn't leave it in terms of pi, and that's okay. Because what I really want is just a number, because I'm not finding the surface area, so leaving it in terms of pi is not as particularly helpful for this problem. Okay, that's surface area. So now let's move on to volume. Still not a very tricky formula. Volume of a sphere is this formula. Volume is this formula right here, 4 pi r cubed divided by 3. So again, the only thing we have to find here is the radius. It's still the same exact thing, the distance between the center and the side. So let's look at this first problem. If our formula is this, 4 pi r cubed divided by 3, it's pretty simple. We're just going to plug in 3 right here. Make sure you realize it's going to be cubed. That's a little bit different. We want this in terms of pi and as a decimal. So let's do in terms of pi first. So let's just do this top one. We'd have 4 and then multiplied times 3 cubed. 3 cubed would be 108 divided by 3. 36. So we'd get 36 pi. Let me do that one more time for you. So I'm going to do everything besides the pi. I'm going to have 4 times 3 cubed. Let me show you how I did 3 cubed. I put 3 in parentheses, and then the way I get it to be cubed is I come down here right next to the square. There's this little caret button. I can go up and make a cubed root. So right next to the x squared is this little caret button, and I can make whatever square root I want, or whatever exponent I want. So it'd be 108, that's what's on top. Divide it by 3, I'd get 36 pi. Okay, so the surface area in terms of pi would be 36 pi, or let's see what that is in decimal form. So 36 times pi would give me, let's say it's 113.1 units cubed. Excuse me, this should be the volume. This whole thing should have been the volume. My bad. Misspoke. So this should be the volume of a sphere. The volume of a sphere. Okay, that's the volume of a sphere. Again, guys, not too bad. Just as a reminder, this is your formula. The only thing you need to figure out is what the radius is. Okay, again, they're trying to trick you again. Remember, this is not the number you're going to use. You want to use whatever 8.4 divided by 2 is. Let's see what that is. 8.4 divided by 2, 4.2. So my radius here is actually 4.2. Volume equals 4 pi r cubed divided by 3. Let's see what that becomes. So 4 pi 4.2 cubed divided by 3. Okay, so let's see what that's going to be in terms of pi. Again, I'm not going to use pi yet. I'm going to do 4 times 4.2 caret cubed. Okay, notice how that is exactly what I have on top. Let's see what happens. Then I'm going to divide that number by 3. So I would get 98.8 pi, or let's see what that is. When you multiply it by pi, I'm going to get 310. Let's call that 4 because 3 is going to round to 4 because of the 8. Let's say units cubed. Now notice my volume units are cubed because it's volume, and then my surface area is squared. Notice this was not squared because it's simply a radius. Okay, radius is just a line. It's just a unit of measurement. All right, so not too bad, guys. If you want to pause the video and go back, feel free to do so. Don't overthink it. It's just a couple formulas for surface area and volume. You can totally do this. Don't overthink it. Good luck.